One of the things that I spent a lot of time contemplating on Tuesday as I scrolled through my Twitter feed and saw so many people that I follow and so many people that I know reacting to the Tiger Woods story. And I was thinking about why Tiger Woods matters to such an extent for so many different people. And obviously, we want Tiger to be well. I would love for him to have another opportunity like he did at Eastlake Country Club down in Atlanta, and also like he did at Augusta when he won a green jacket kind of out of nowhere, which I think will be a lot like when Jack Nicklaus, I think, won in 1986, if I'm not mistaken. Dub, you can look that up, at the age of 46, when it was kind of came out of nowhere. And it was just a sign of what he had been capable of in the past. And it evoked such a sense of nostalgia for so many golf fans out there. And to me, golf is unique. Because you can have a really long golf career that allows us as sports fans to experience your life in a way that doesn't occur in really any other sport. And let me explain exactly what I mean. If you use Tiger Woods as an example, I basically am the same age as Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is 45. I'm 41 years old. We were raised in the same sort of era. There's not a tremendous difference between us years-wise. It's funny, when you're a kid, if you're a senior in high school and somebody else is a freshman, you're like, oh, there's 3 years difference. We're so much different. And then as you age, you find out that really you're the same generation and many of your experiences were not that much different than somebody else's experience. So I'm 41, Tiger is 45. But I feel like in many ways I have grown up with Tiger Woods. I've seen him on the course at Augusta winning at the age of 19 years old, this skinny kid that had not yet grown in any way into his adult body. I remember watching Tiger at the U.S. Junior Amateurs, I think it's called, and I'm not a golf savant, so if I mess up some of my language, I apologize to you golfnicks out there. But watching Tiger Woods win at that level, hearing all the discussion between Palmer and Nicklaus about how many green jackets he was going to end up winning, all of the talent, the fact that he was heralded as such an unbelievable star at such a young age, and that he lived up to it in many ways, and that Tiger didn't shy away from the fact that his goal was to win more majors than Jack Nicklaus. He had an objective out there, and it seemed like Tiger was going to beat Jack Nicklaus, and when going away, and then it didn't happen, and we'll circle back to that in a moment. But what you saw from Tiger and what you sometimes see in golf and typically don't see in very many other sports is you see someone go from childhood to adulthood to middle age, and you grow alongside of them. And so Tiger Woods, when he won that first Masters, who does he hug when he comes off the 18th green? His dad. Tiger Woods, for all of us who are sports fans, who are old enough to remember that, initially came into our lives as the son of Earl Woods. He was a kid. He was defined by his relationship, and his mom was there as well, by the way, but he was defined as their son, as the son of Tiger and of his dad and his mom. And then what happens? He gets married to Elin Nordgren. And as he's coming off the course, he hugs her, and you can see that he has moved into adulthood in some way. Now, that relationship, which we'll get to in a moment, blows up, doesn't work. But before that happens, he has 2 kids, and we get used to seeing then Tiger through the eyes over the course of his career we've seen him from son to husband to father himself. And that's the natural evolution that I personally have gone through, and that many of you out there, I imagine, have also gone through. And just like me, you are not the exact same person that you were when you were a precocious 18 or 19-year-old kid. And you're probably not the same person that you were when you got married for the first time. And you certainly aren't the same person that you were before you suddenly took on the mantles and responsibilities of fatherhood. And so golf, uniquely to me, we get to see these guys, because of the length of careers of the top golfers, go from boy to man to father. And I say that because I do think there's a difference between being a boy and a man and a dad, right? Like, those are natural evolutions, because even when you're a man, before you have kids or before you have family responsibilities, you are still primarily responsible for yourself. And I've heard a lot of people talking. I was talking to my wife about this the other day. We had some friends over and we were talking about Britney Spears. And it's interesting, Britney Spears and Tiger Woods, although they're totally different, right? One is a golfer, another one is an entertainer. But they're that same era. And I was talking about Tiger Woods, 45, Britney Spears, 38 years old, or whatever the heck she is. I'm right in between both of them at 41 years old. When you think about the way we treated Tiger Woods, there's no other athlete that I am aware of in my life that has had his private life dissected in the way that Tiger Woods has. In fact, I can't even think of anyone else who is a close second in the world of sports. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, O.J. Simpson. Well, I'll give you O.J., but O.J. was dissected because he was accused of double murder. Whatever you might think of Tiger Woods, he just might be guilty of being a bad husband. And so I'm not sure that we've ever seen an athlete that was cut open right to the bone in terms of the media going all in on the way they covered him, like we've seen for Tiger Woods in the world of sports. There are lots of really famous athletes. Peyton Manning, Michael Jordan. I'll use a couple. LeBron James. I don't ever remember the media diving into their personal lives on any of the way, to any of the degree, like they did for Tiger Woods. And some of those guys have gotten divorced. Some of them haven't. Some of them have had off the field or off the court related issues. But really what's remarkable about Tiger is there's really nobody else in the world of sports that's ever been treated like him in terms of losing all of his privacy. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Tiger Woods would build himself a massive yacht and name it privacy. Because this is a guy who has been on the stage being analyzed as something more than a golfer since he was 17, 16, 18, 19 years old. And it reminds me a little bit of the path that Britney Spears has been on. And I don't know how many of you have watched it, but there's the Tiger Woods documentary out there, and there's also the Britney Spears documentary out there. And what both of them convey is the all-encompassing nature of media and the way they covered Tiger Woods and also Britney Spears. I mean, these were guys and girls who were on the cover of the weekly magazines in a pre-internet-driven celebrity culture, in a pre-social media era, where before the athlete or the celebrity could talk to their fans directly through social media and kind of curtail this wild chase for the latest scoop, Tiger Woods was covered like Britney Spears. And if you go back and watch the trajectory of their lives, it's interesting to think about because they are the embodiment of a generation that our media almost destroyed. Now, I'm not saying they were perfect in their choices. I'm not saying they didn't make mistakes. But to err is human. All of us are imperfect. And I think one reason why this Tiger Woods incident, this car accident, struck so many people so interestingly is because Tiger has been a fixture in so many people's lives for so long that we feel like we are a part of his story because his story is so inextricably intertwined with our own stories. As we have aged, as we have grown, there has been Tiger Woods in the red shirt striding across a green. And we love to build up our heroes to make them larger than life. But what often ends up making us love our heroes the most is the moments when they are the most human. And I think for so many people out there, I know I was one of them, watching Tiger Woods on the golf course with his son, it felt like a circle of life moment where Tiger has moved from being the son, the protege of his father, Earl Woods, and he now has become, in full circle, the dad. And his story, in many ways, feels like it's building towards a conclusion where we don't see Tiger Woods as a golfer at all. We see him as a dad. Everybody likes to think about the way that stories end. That moment, especially in athletics, where a transcendent athlete is able to experience the utmost glory on the court. And it happens at a young age to end. Most stories don't end perfectly. We just saw that maybe with Drew Brees. We may end up seeing it with Tom Brady before all is said and done, but most people aren't Michael Jordan draining a jumper to win the NBA Finals with the Chicago Bulls, even though he later played with the Wizards. We forget about that. Most people aren't Peyton Manning or John Elway riding off into the sunset with the Lombardi Trophy on their shoulder. Most people aren't Tiger Woods deciding to retire right as he walks up and sinks a putt on the 18th green at Augusta to win a Masters in a legendary fashion that no one ever thought was possible. Most people aren't able to write their ending. But that doesn't mean we don't want for the perfect ending to be possible. How do most stories end when you're a kid? And they lived happily ever after. Well, that doesn't sum up most people's lives. Because even if you do live happily ever after, there often are many different dark moments in everybody's life. But I think what struck people earlier, I talked about Kobe, that's not how Kobe's story was supposed to end. And that strikes a lot of people, gets them in the gut. And I think if you're a parent, what got you in the gut about Tiger Woods was the story of Tiger Woods' life, I feel like, isn't going to end with him having a golf club in his hand. It's going to end in some form or fashion with him being a dad, standing off of the green, watching his son compete somewhere. And maybe that is the best possible ending for Tiger Woods of all when you consider the way that he entered this life of ours in the world of sports, which is as Earl Woods' son. And what struck so many of us right in the solar plexus, why so many of us reacted so emotionally when we heard about that Tiger Woods story, was because in many ways, the story of Tiger Woods' life is the story, in some small part, of our own life as sports fans as well. I hope that made sense to some of you. I tried to sometimes put into context what exactly I am thinking of in terms of the experience of Tiger Woods and why so many people cared so desperately about his health in that particular moment in time.